Hey, shalom everyone. Amanda here. Welcome back to the podcast, and I pray that you all have had a blessed day. My day was rough. It was a rough day. It was a long day. It was just a strange feeling kind of day. I don't know. It was a tough day. I'm glad that tomorrow is the Sabbath to rest and just kind of put everything aside that has occurred in the past week or so. But anyways, I hope all of you have had a blessed day. And so yesterday I did an episode just kind of introducing a series that I'm going to be doing. It'll be coming up here soon. I thought I was going to be able to start it today or possibly tomorrow, but today was just a crazy day. And then tomorrow I really just plan to rest. And then Sunday moving forward is going to be pretty busy. The rest of this month is going to be very sporadic and crazy and up in the air, and there's a lot going on. So I honestly don't know when I'm going to be able to start this series. I'm hoping it'll be soon because I really think this series is going to help a lot of people and bless a lot of people. So I know that it has been for me. So I'm really excited to share the series with you all, but it won't be coming up for a little bit. I'm actually going to be talking about a completely different topic tonight that I feel led to share. And I have a couple of announcements and then I'll get into that word. So, okay, I've already given one. Boundary series is coming up. I just don't know when. I've already done an introduction and just kind of explaining why I feel led to do the series, what it more or less is going to be about. I've already recorded and published that episode yesterday, so that's available for those that want to check it out, just to kind of get an idea of what this series is going to look like. So that's available. And then some other announcements I want to make is, again, this month is just a really busy, crazy, chaotic month. There's just a lot going on. I know I've said that 1,000 times. It's definitely a tough month, and there's a lot going on, but I actually just found out today that I am going to be going to Texas at the end of this month for a little bit. It won't be for too long, so I will be out of state, and I won't be doing anything with the podcast while I'm in Texas. So if I don't get the series started before then, it will definitely be when I get back from Texas. So, just something that kind of came up and something that we need to take care of. So, again, this month there's just a lot going on and I really could use some prayers. I know you all have been fantastic and just incredible with praying for me and my family. And I just really appreciate that so much. But if you all feel led to continue in prayer, I would really appreciate it. And I really, really could use it right now. So thank you all so much for that. That's the other announcement. And then the other announcement is because I'm actually going out of state towards the end of this month. I probably won't start counseling back up until the beginning of October, just because when I get back, I need to just, get back into the swing of things and just, kind of go from there. So that'll be pushed back just a little bit. I do apologize, y'all. This month is just extremely chaotic. That's like the only word I can continue to use because I really don't know what else to say. It's just chaotic. There's so much going on right now. There's so much up in the air. These seasons have just, or not seasons, but these trials in this season have just been so it's been rough. It's been rough, but praise Yah, he's carrying us through, he's sustaining us, and we're getting through it. We're getting to the other side. We have victory through Yeshua, and we will get through it. So praise Yah. But yeah, it's been rough. I am mentally, emotionally, physically drained and exhausted, and yeah, a lot going on. So anyways, let me jump into the topic that I want to actually talk about tonight. So I've been having this in my spirit and on my heart for a little bit now, but I kept putting it aside because I was like, well, I have talked about it already, although a lot of what I share has a tendency to be repetitive. So I thought, well, if I've talked about it once, I could probably talk about it again, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people are experiencing this right now, just as part of the trials, And, the thing was that I was receiving some emails that had to do with this topic, and it brought up a lot for me. Like it hit close to home for me. And so as I was reading his emails and responding back and, things like that I would pray and, just trying to give advice, not like full blown counseling sessions, but trying to give advice. And, it just really brought up some things for me as well. And I thought, you know what, maybe I should talk about this again, because this is happening a lot. And I know it's been happening a lot because of, these marriages they are ordained by Yahweh. They serve a purpose and they're important. And because of that, Satan's plans are to, destroy these marriages, to even stop them before they've even happened, And so the thing is that a lot of people, I was saying the day before yesterday that, I have a mixed group that follows this podcast. I have people who are single and, trusting and waiting on Yah for their marriage. And then I have people who are in their marriages. And so what I'm going to talk about applies for both, but I have gotten a combination of both, where people have reached out to me and said, not only are we enduring trials, but, the enemy is attacking my spouse. I don't know what to do, or, the enemy is attacking my spouse and is like delaying our marriage and, all of these things. So what I want to talk about is I want to talk about spiritual warfare. I want to talk about demonic attacks and oppressions concerning our marriages and our spouses, whether you're not together with them yet, but you're aware of who they are, you know more or less what they're going through, or Yah has revealed to you what they're going through, or you're married and you're seeing your spouse be attacked in various different ways. Now, and honestly, I was like, wow, I've only talked about this one time in this entire podcast. And that kind of shocked me, because this is something that is seriously going on right now. I mean, like full blown, full force, whatever you want to say, it's happening big time. And you know what? And the thing is, I understand, because I've been through it. I have absolutely been through it, where, I prayed and fought for my spouse in the spiritual. I don't even know for how long, to the point where I ended up being like this prayer warrior that I never knew I could be, because I was praying so much. It was crazy. But a blessing at the same time to learn how to war in the spirit, But I'm seeing this a lot. This has been something that has been going on for a very long time, because the enemy, remember, he opposes anything that comes from Yah. And so when he sees these marriages that are called by Yah, these set apart marriages, and the purposes they have, and, things like that. I mean, these are people that are not to be reckoned with. Like, these two people come together and yeah, like it's game over, These are strong marriages. These are strong couples. These are strong individuals that have been broken before and now are strong through Yah. They're coming together, and, they have a purpose. They have so many things that, or not so many things, but they have things that Yah wants to fulfill through them or complete through them, or whatever that might look like, right? And so, of course, we know the enemy doesn't want that. The enemy doesn't want anything that has to do with Yah, and even more so anything that's for his kingdom, right? So, and I remember talking about, wives, a lot of you, wives and wives in waiting, a lot of you are called to intercede for your husbands. Okay. So this word is going to really be geared towards my sisters, just because I'm a woman. And so I'm going to be, talking from that perspective. Now, of course, if I have any men listening, this can very well be for you as well. If you know for a fact that your wife or wife to be is going through a lot of stuff right now. Okay. But I remember when I received this revelation, it really just kind of threw me for a loop, because before then I had a very worldly understanding of marriage. I had a very worldly understanding of what it meant to be a wife. And I had no idea that a marriage from Yah meant that I was going to need a war in the spirit. So when I say war in the spirit, I'm talking about praying, like fighting in the spirit, battling in the spirit through prayer. So interceding for my husband. I had no clue. And then on top of that, I had no clue the severity it was going to be. Like, I didn't know yet who my husband was. I didn't know where he was coming from. I didn't know what his life had been like. I didn't know the severity of things going on in his life, right? And so when you finally come to know who your spouse is, when you meet them, whatever, and you learn about them, Yah will then reveal to you, okay, pray for him in this area. Pray so that he can be delivered from this. Because one thing that I've noticed, and this is something that I talked about very, very early on in my podcast ministry, was that a lot of Satan's plans and operations concerning marriage and family is to break these marriages and families apart, or to stop them from ever coming together, right? And so oftentimes how he does that, he'll do that through counterfeit situations, relationships. So a lot of people's spouses have been bound through counterfeit relationships, and just a lot of different things, right? And I've talked about all of this. As a matter of fact, the name of that episode was called, I think it was Counterfeits and Spiritual Warfare Concerning Yah Ordained Spouses. And so what's going on is, because remember I've said that the enemy attacks men more. He attacks men more because of the fact that, they're the foundation of a family. They're the ones that carry the seed. They're the ones that the families are named after, and so on and so forth. They're the ones that have been given the authority and the headship by Yahuwah himself. So what Satan does is he goes straight for the men most of the time. Now, he will attack women because oftentimes we're called to stand in the gap, right? We're the interceders, we're the nurturers, we're the, you know what I mean? But I've noticed that the enemy will attack men more. So what I've seen is like it seems that more men will fall into counterfeit relationships and situations more so than women. I've also seen that a lot of men end up in addictions. A lot of men end up in jail, it seems to happen to men more. And the reason why is because this is the enemy's way of trying to bind these men who are sons of Yah, who are called for a purpose and who are called into these marriages and these purposes and these callings. And so what the enemy does is he often will bound a man by one of these things, right? Or again, because when a man is in a counterfeit situation or relationship, he can't go very far, and even if he does feel that he is succeeding in something, it's not what Yah called him to. So at some point it's going to fall apart. You know what I mean? Or, there's some kind of, like I said, binding, whether it's that they're, it's a lot. It's a lot of different things. There can be so many different things. And believe me, I've heard a lot of them. I've had people come to me over time and just share with me the things that they're walking through. And I'm like, yep, this is demonic oppression. This is an attack, because the enemy doesn't want to see these marriages and families formed. I've seen people whose marriages are, crazy delayed, but remember, delayed is not denial. It's just, there's something going on in the spiritual. I've always heard that when you are attacked more, it's because your purpose is bigger. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that it's more important than somebody else's, but it's just, there's a heavy mantle. Let's just put it that way. And so when you're faced with a lot of these oppositions, or your marriage is constantly delayed, or you're seeing your spouse struggle in the same areas or in certain areas, these are attacks. Okay. So, it's a struggle, because I've had several people come to me and say, my spouse is bound through an addiction, right? Or, my spouse is bound, in a counterfeit situation or relationship, right? And let me tell you something, sisters and brothers, if I have brothers listening. No matter what your spouse is struggling with, it is always going to break your heart. It's going to hurt to see them struggle the way they are. And, that's why I was even saying that for those that are single that have met their spouses, like, I revealed to them, okay, this is the person I'm bringing you together with, but you can't come together yet. And then people will ask me, well, then why did Yah have our paths cross if we were going to be separated after that? And it's like, sometimes because he wants you to see. He wants you to see who the person is. He wants you to understand what they're going through, what they're walking through, so that you can pray for them. And again, as wives in waiting, wives to be, the biggest, most important thing that we can do for our husbands is pray. Pray for them. You have to pray for them. And you know what? Some of these things, they don't come out except by prayer and fasting. So sometimes you might have to implement fasting as well. And let me tell you something. I had situations where I would pray and fast and things like that, and the enemy would just come even harder at me. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it never felt that every time I was praying really hard and even implementing fast and things like that, right? Because Yeshua says that these kind can only come out through prayer and fasting, right? There are some situations where it calls for that. And I would do this, and I would see breakthrough. I would see answers to prayers here and there. But other times I would see the enemy just go even more full force, even more. And I'm like, wow, man, I need to withstand this. I did an episode recently called The Armor of Yah, right? The Armor of Yahuwah. We need to have our armor on daily. But wives, whether you're in your marriage yet or not, you need to pray. Even if you don't even know who your spouse is, you don't even know their name, you don't know anything about them, you need to pray so hard, like you've never prayed before, for your husband. Because more than likely they have some kind of something that's got them bound. And I'm seeing this so much. I'm seeing this so much. And it breaks my heart, because I am seeing so many men bound. So many men being deceived, so many men just being, led astray or fallen away from Yah. And, and we've got all these sisters that are praying and praying like never before for their husbands. And that's what we need to continue doing. We need to be praying with everything that we have, no matter what is going on. And when you see things not changing, or you see things getting worse, you pray even harder. Don't give up, because see, oftentimes what the enemy does, like I was saying, I've had experiences where I'll pray and pray, and then all of a sudden, things look worse, or nothing's changed. I know I need to keep praying, because what the enemy does is he does that so that, you can get discouraged and have doubt and give up and don't pray for them anymore. That's what he wants, because remember, the prayer of a wife is one of the most powerful prayers that can ever be prayed for that man. Yes, that man has parents that may or may not be praying for him. Yes, he may have friends that may or may not be praying for him. His own children may even be praying for him, right? A pastor, maybe. And all those prayers are great, but there's nothing more powerful than a prayer that comes from that man's rib, his wife. Don't give up praying. I've had sisters come to me and I'm like, I know how you feel. They're like, I'm so tired of praying. Like, I pray and pray and I don't see any change, or it gets worse for a season, and I'm like, you got to keep praying, sister. Keep praying. Don't lose that faith. Keep praying, because your prayers is what's protecting that man. Your prayers is what's going to release that man. Your prayers is what's going to help deliver that man out of bondage. Your prayers is what's going to help that man. And he needs you. Even if you're at a distance from each other, even if you're separated, even if you can't really stand him at the moment because of how he's behaving, or he's being awful to you or whatever, that man needs you. And I've always said this, whenever a man has a counterfeit woman by his side, or is in a counterfeit situation, or is in addiction or whatever, this man cannot move further. Or it might seem like he is, but he's in, once again, a counterfeit situation. He needs you, and he needs your prayers. And you want to know what's really sad is that I want to say probably 60-70% of the time, these men don't even know that their wives are praying for them. They have no clue. They have not a clue. Wives, we have to fervently pray for our husbands. We have to pray for our husbands like never before. Because the enemy is like, seriously, he is out there because he knows his time is up soon. And he knows he doesn't have victory. So he's going to do whatever that he can, okay, to keep your husbands in bondage. Whatever that bondage may be. Again, it could be all types of different things, right? I've heard it all. My husband is an alcoholic. My husband does drugs. My husband is addicted to porn. My husband, keeps going back to his ex, or, you know what I mean? Like, I've heard it all. I've heard it all. These are attacks. These are demonic attacks. This is spiritual warfare. The enemy is trying to take our husbands, and he's trying to take our children, and he's trying to take us. And we need to pray against that like never before. Even if it's just a quick prayer, wives, you need to be praying for your husbands. Cover him in prayer, even if you can't stand him at the moment, even if he just got through being mean to you, even if he just went back to that other woman, even if he just did something really foolish. Pray for him, because what's behind that it's not your husband, it's what's behind that. It's what's behind that. I see situations too where it's like they go 3 steps forward and then 20 back. Believe me, I've seen that, and I'm experiencing it myself right now. And I know it's hard. So I know sometimes you're crying and you're like, I don't know what to do anymore. I just want to give up. But that's what the enemy wants you to do. And I know it's tiring, sisters. I know, believe me. I know how tiring it is. It's hard. It is extremely, extremely hard. But we have to consistently pray for our husbands without fail. We cannot give up. Because if we give up on them, if we stop praying for them, what's going to happen? The enemy's going to have more access to your husband to attack him more. We need to be praying. Then I've had people ask me, well, why is this happening? Why are these attacks happening? Why is my husband in bondage? Why is, they have all these questions. There's different answers, and it really just depends on the situation. For some, it's because those husbands have active sin. And because they're in active sin, it's causing, it's giving the devil leeway to come in and attack, right? Sometimes, believe it or not, it can be a test to see, are you willing to stand in the gap and intercede for your man? Are you just going to just sit by and just let it go? Other times too, it's doors that they themselves has opened. The enemy just has them hooked. And so they need prayers, they need deliverance. So there's all kinds of different things, and again, it really just depends on the situation. Sometimes it's because they themselves are at a distance from Yah. They're not connecting with Him. They're not praying. They're not reading the Bible. They're more focused on other stuff. And because of that, it causes them to, kind of slowly slip away. Another thing too is that it could be their faith. Your relationship and your faith could be at a level, but theirs isn't. It could be somewhere different. Maybe they have one foot in with the world still, and then one foot in with Yah, I see this a lot too, where, in marriages where, the wives are, a little more spiritually fit, as I like to say, and the husbands aren't. And again, a lot of this is the outcome of Satan attacking men more. And that's why he does it. Because remember, our husbands are called to be the head of the house. They're called to be the head of the family. They're called to disciple their children, to wash their wives in the water of the word, right? They're the ones that are supposed to lead and be in charge and have that headship and authority and lead spiritually as well. But as you can see, especially nowadays, that is absolutely not the case. In fact, I see a lot of wives that are leading their families in terms of spiritually, So this is a huge problem that's going on today, is that a lot of husbands are not there where their relationship with Yah is secure. They're, leading their family in the way that they should go, and they're doing what they should be doing, And again, that's all part of the enemy's plans. That's all part of it. But what Yahuwah is doing is he's calling his daughters, he's calling these wives, right, that he's been preparing. He's calling them up to stand in the gap, to pray for his sons, for our husbands, right? So we have to be steadfast. We have to remain in prayer. We cannot give up praying for our husbands. It's so vital and so important that we do. And another thing that I want to go ahead and share, because this has been coming up too, and I've talked about this quite a few times, and I think it's important because social media seems to be a breeding ground for this. And to be honest with you, and I'm going to be a little bit rude here, but I'm tired of seeing it. I think that this should not be taking place. Number one, if you are married, you and your spouse should have an account together. I think that individual and separate accounts should not be, unless your Facebook page is simply for business or ministry or whatever. But if you're going to have a personal one, you need to have it together with your spouse. That's number one, okay? Number two, if you are single, all right, and either you and your spouse, right, this is your spouse, your friends on Facebook, or maybe you're not friends, okay? Number one, stop checking up on them, okay? Just stop monitoring them, stop checking up, stop doing those things, okay? For several reasons, all right? It's just don't do it. Just don't do it. Now, if it's Yah's will that y'all connect through there, then so be it, and let it happen in his timing. But until then, do not drive yourself crazy and go through all of that by doing that. And I have seen many people do this. Many, many people are doing this. Another thing that I really frown upon is those that are in separation, or those that about one another, but I don't know what's going on, if it's that there's a delay or there's things going on, right? Please stop trying to make each other jealous, okay? By making your life seem as, you're making it seem it's one way and it's not even really that, and I see this so often, and I hear about this, and it's childish. Number one is childish. Number two, and I talked about jealousy within marriage, I think 2 seasons ago, I talked about this. Please stop doing this, because all you're doing is you're adding fuel to the fire, you're making it worse, and you're damaging something that hasn't even, not technically begun yet. You know what I mean? It's just foolish. It's not the way to go. If you're feeling jealous, if you're feeling hurt, take it to Yah in prayer. But don't go on social media and say, oh, okay, that's what you're going to put, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post this picture. I'm going to say this. And please don't do that, y'all. Listen, it's never the answer. Jealousy, number one, is sin. Okay? I was more or less talking about this in yesterday's episode. Jealousy is sinful. It will consume you, and nothing good ever comes from it. Now, I even had addressed, because I know that there are some couples that can get really flattered when their spouse, shows some jealousy, that they're flattered and they even find it attractive to a point. But this can be very dangerous. This can be very, very dangerous. It can end up turning into something a lot bigger and a lot more harmful, and it's just not a good thing. But I'm seeing social media as a huge issue in marriages and in people who are in waiting and, getting ready to come together, whatever. This is a huge problem. People are blocking one another. They're playing mind games. They're trying to make the other jealous. They're trying to do all of these things, and that truly needs to stop. And if you are the spouse that is doing this, please stop. If you are the spouse that is on the receiving end, step away from it. Don't take part in it no more. And if you are someone that, and I've talked about this, you are having issues, right? You're stuck in some things. You're in bondage. You're in counterfeit situations. Take the first step. Put your foot down and take care of what you need to take care of. Even if that means deleting your account and starting fresh and making a whole new one, if you have to. If you're married, make an account together and keep it that way. But this whole trying to make each other jealous and believe me, I have counseled people about this quite a bit, and it's really heartbreaking for me that this is even taking place. It's like, okay, number one, of course I don't say this to people I'm counseling, but my thoughts are we in high school? What is going on? We are full grown adults here. This shouldn't even be happening. And then especially on social media, really, this just is so childish that can lead to something so incredibly harmful. It needs to stop. It needs to stop. It's not the way to go about things. And if social media is hurting your marriage, if social media is hurting your relationship, or social media is causing delays or whatever else that may come out of that, you need to maybe get rid of it for a while or take a break from it. It's not good, and it's not worth hurting your relationship. It's not worth hurting what hasn't even begun yet. And if you're somebody that you're quick to have feelings of jealousy, please take that back to Yah in prayer and ask him to help you. Because remember, jealousy and envy is works of the flesh. Okay, and I was just talking about this yesterday. But especially in jealousy, no matter what, whether it's towards family members or friends or co-workers or your spouse or whatever, it's not good, brothers and sisters. We need to rid of that. Now, again, as I stated once before in a different episode, a little bit of jealousy or protectiveness with your spouse is normal and healthy. Anything past that, or it becomes a game, or you're trying to hurt one another, you're trying to make them feel how you feel in the moment, it's not the way to go, brothers and sisters, and it never will be. It only adds fuel to the fire. It only makes things worse. And I'm telling you, I'm seeing a lot of these issues on social media. I'm to the point where I'm disgusted with social media at this point. I literally have mine because of ministry. And to be honest with you, I think I'm going to end up deleting it permanently. I have deactivated a few times, as most of you know, and then Yah led me to reactivate again for the purpose of ministry and whatever. But to be honest with you, I am really leaning towards just permanently getting rid of mine. And Facebook is the only social media I have. I use YouTube, but I don't have a profile or a channel or anything like that. I use it for my own personal purposes, but I'm getting ready to just get off social media. I'm just done with it. And again, I had it really for my ministry. But I don't know. I'm really leaning towards just getting rid of it altogether. There's too much drama on there. There's too much. But this is why I've talked so much about social media, why I'm like, keep your life off of social media. Stop sharing things. Stop, for so many reasons. But this whole thing where I'm seeing couples and, things like that, trying to make each other jealous and, playing these games and things like that, it's like, oh my goodness, this is not, it's not good. It's just not good. So it's really important, brothers, sisters, that we pray about these things and really seek Yah when we're feeling certain feelings towards our spouse or just whatever insecurities. I think often too, when people do these things, a lot of it stems from insecurities. And that's not good. And again, like I was saying recently, of course, pray and seek Yah and cry out to Him and ask Him to help you. But there's also nothing wrong with seeking other outside sources like counseling if you have insecurities that you can't overcome by yourself. Because brothers and sisters, those insecurities and those things that you haven't healed from can really harm your relationship. It can harm your marriage. So these are things that you really want to, again, I said there are some things that when you get into your marriage with each other, you will help one another heal with these things. But while you, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. I don't know why. There are some things in your marriage. Let me just start over. I apologize. I don't know what on earth happened there for a moment. There are some things that when you step in your marriage, you will help each other heal, but there are things that need to be taken care of before you step into your marriage, because if not, it will harm. It will harm your relationship, which is why some of you are experiencing delay and why you're not in your marriage yet, because you still have healing that needs to take place. You still have things that need to be addressed. You still have loose ends that need to be tied up, and it's just not happening, And so it's very important that these things are addressed, and that's why it's also important for you to seek Yah so that He can reveal to you and show you the areas you need to work on, But I'm seeing this a lot, and I felt led to share that as well because it's just happening way too much. It's happening way too much, and it makes me sad to see marriages being hurt, spouses being hurt because of things so childish and so silly as doing these things on social media. And again, I cannot express this enough. I cannot encourage this enough. Please keep your personal life off of social media as best as you can, unless you know you have people you can trust on there. But I would really, really be careful if I were you. So, but anyways, I wanted to add that. I had to add that portion there. But going back to praying, it's so vital and it's so important that we pray for our spouses, that we pray for our husbands, that we pray for our wives, depending again who's listening. It's important that we pray and that we don't stop praying, that we don't cease from praying. Our spouses need our prayers, especially if they're in a bondage that is severe, okay? Especially if they're up against not just one thing, not just two things, but a few things, several things. They need our prayers. They absolutely need our prayers. We need to war in the spirit for our spouses, for our marriages. Again, even if you haven't stepped into your marriage yet, you need to pray over your marriage and over your spouse. There's so much that goes on in the spiritual, y'all. There's so much going on that we cannot see. There is so much. And again, whether it's because there's open sin or because it's a test or because, the enemy's opposing it because of what's going to come out of your marriage, what you and your spouse both carry, these things the enemy wants to take. Remember, like it says in the scriptures, that the enemy comes to steal, to kill, and destroy, right? And this is what he ultimately wants to do. I'm going to share something a little bit personal, but I feel that it's necessary in this episode. I'm not going to share details about the dream I had, but I'm just going to share that I had this type of dream. Because I had never experienced anything like this in my entire life. Never. You know, I didn't even realize that dreams could be a way for Yah to show us things, right? I mean, ever since I was little, I would have dreams and they would always happen. And I never understood why that was. I really didn't. Until I began my walk with Yah. And I started to understand and learn about the prophetic. But I remember I had a dream. And it was a dream about my husband. And Yah was basically showing me that if my husband didn't turn from his ways, if he didn't get out of the bondage he was in, if he didn't stop doing the things that he was doing, the enemy was going to take him. The enemy was going to be able to take him. And I saw this in a dream. So you can imagine my fear, my shock. I'm trying to process this all. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, like, what just happened? What did I just see? And again, I'm not going to go into details about the dream. But when Yah revealed to me what it meant, my heart sank. I was like, I don't want that to happen to the man that Yah chose for me. I don't want this to happen, you know, like I don't want to see anybody be overcome by the enemy, to be lost, to be or not have salvation. I cried because I couldn't believe, number one, what the dream was about, but I was just so overcome with just shock that Yah revealed this to me. But he revealed it to me because I'm his wife and because I need to step in. The reason why he showed me this, and the reason why Yah had me and my husband meet when we did, the whole purpose was to pray. I needed to stand in the gap and intercede for him. That was the whole purpose. And Yah showed me that if there wasn't prayers, if there wasn't, that the enemy would end up overtaking him. It's not because Yah doesn't want to save him, but it's because my husband was going to end up choosing and staying in the wrong things. And I didn't want that. You know, and the thing is, we shouldn't feel pressure when we pray. But I'll be honest with you, I did for a little bit, because I was like, oh my gosh, if I don't pray right, or if I don't... But you know, the truth is, brothers and sisters, that we can pray and pray, and I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in the power of prayer. But at the end, the people that we're praying for, they do have free will. And they do have the right to make a choice of what they want. And unfortunately, we can't control. As much as we would like to, we can't force them to go with Yah's will. We just can't. And I know it's hard, women. I know, sisters, it's hard to stand by and watch your husband do foolish things, or to continue, and you're praying and praying and you're crying because you love them so much, and you're just like, God, please, I love this man so much. You gave me this man. Like, I can't stand by and sit by and watch him destroy his life anymore. I can't watch him do X, Y, and Z, or how he's treating me, or this or that. Like, literally, sisters are crying out with everything they have. I have sisters coming to me crying because they're like, I don't know what to do. I love him, but I don't know what to do. I want to be with him, but I don't know what to do. And I can't watch someone that I love so much, someone that I'm one flesh with, someone that is my Adam, that is my husband, that is my everything, my protector, my provider, the father of my children, or the father of the children of B, or whatever. I can't watch this no more. It's the same thing with our children. When we go through these things with our children, how hard it is, because these are our babies. But sisters, that much more, we have to stand strong and steadfast and pray with everything we have. And I know you're probably saying, I have, Amanda, I have prayed with everything I have, and nothing's changing. Give it time. because prayers are powerful. And again, there's no prayers that are more powerful than that of a wife's and a mother's. Your prayers is what's going to save that man, right? We have that faith because I know I just said sometimes it doesn't always go that way. But I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in the power of prayer. I really do. I really, really do. Don't give up, sisters. If you see your husband getting worse, pray and pray. Pray anyway. If you don't see a change, pray anyway. If some days it's good and then some days are bad, pray anyways. If the season is good and then the next season is bad, pray anyways. He goes 3 steps forward and 20 back, pray anyways. Pray for that man. Pray for that man. You love him, pray for him. I wanted to share this because this was really, really, really heavy in my heart for some time, but I was like, well, I had like a flood of different words come in. And so I just was like, all right, I'll talk about this one on this day, and then I'll share this one on this day. And, that one just kept getting pushed to the side. And I realized today, amidst my crazy chaotic day, I realized today that I really needed to talk about this again and just give words of encouragement to encourage sisters to continue to pray, to be prayer warriors for their husbands and their children, but to really fight for your family. Don't let the enemy think that he has the victory. Don't let the enemy take your husbands, right? Because remember, Yah doesn't want to see that happen either. But at the end of the day, there is free will. And so it's so important that we just pray with everything we have. Pray Yah's will to be done. And pray for that man. And he needs those prayers. He may never tell you that he does. He might act like everything's all right, as men usually do. Men kind of have that pride about themselves, but they need your prayers. Especially if they're broken on the inside, especially if they have insecurities. They need your prayers. They need your prayers like never before. And they've always needed your prayers. So, again, I want to encourage my sisters that I have out there to stay praying for your husbands and your children. Stay praying for your marriage. Please don't give up, even if things don't seem to be getting better. Please, please don't give up. And if I have any brothers listening, the same thing, just, flip it around. Wives need prayers as well, and especially as the husbands, you are to spiritually lead. You are to disciple your family, your children. You are to wash your wife in the water of the word, right? Like it says in Ephesians. Husbands, it's time to, step up. And please understand, I'm not saying this in any disrespectful way, but it's time to step up. It's time to be the husband and father that Yah has called you to be. It's time to protect your family and to give them the foundation that they need. Your family's counting on you with that. And I know men get a lot of pressure. I know they have a lot of weight on their shoulders. But if Yah created this role for you, this is your role, it's because you can handle it. He created you to be able to withstand it and to handle it. So, stop joking around. Stop, putting other things first. You need to put Yah first, and you need to put your family next. If you're in bondage, if you got things going on, pray. You also need to pray. And take the first step. Don't let fear conquer you. Don't let anxiety conquer you. Don't let, a counterfeit conquer you or manipulation conquer you or anything like that, okay? Because listen, I've heard it all. I have heard of some really, really just intense, crazy situations of why these poor men are stuck. I've heard it all. I go into a little more detail, I think, in my counterfeit episodes. So if you want to hear more about that detail, go back and listen to those episodes. But it's happening a lot. It's happening a lot. And this is why I felt led to share this, to encourage everybody. You need to be praying for your spouses and for your marriages. Pray, because the enemy is going to do whatever he can, whether you're waiting on your marriage, he's going to do whatever he can to delay it, to stop it from ever happening. If you're in your marriage, he's going to do everything he can to try to destroy your marriage and cause a division, a separation, and eventually divorce. So you need to pray for your marriage. Pray for your spouse like never before. Do this daily. This needs to be a priority. It needs to be a priority. And please keep in mind what I've said concerning social media. Social media has become such a toxic thing. It's really harming a lot of relationships, and it's harming a lot of relationships before they've even begun. It's just not wise, brothers and sisters. It's not. And I'm seeing this too much. I am seeing this way too much. I'm hearing about it way too much. And it's really devastating, because we're full-grown people. We're not in high school, what is going on here? Let's quit playing games. Let's man up, or let's, woman up, I guess. And let's be who Yah's calling us to be. Let's act our ages, And I'm seeing this too much. A lot of couples too, they like to keep score, and they like to retaliate. And I'm thinking to myself, this is not love. Remember what it says in 1 Corinthians 13, right? What does 1 Corinthians 13 say? Love does not boast. Love is not impatient. Love is not envious. And I'm totally paraphrasing because I don't have the scriptures in front of me right now. Another thing too is, if you're praying for your spouse, when you read 1 Corinthians 13, add that spouse's name in there, to see, are they boasting? Are they prideful? Are they envious? Are they impatient? Are they unkind? Are they, you know what I mean? So you can pray about certain things. But I can guarantee you, when Yah calls you to pray for your spouse, he will reveal to you, in his timing, the areas of concern regarding your spouse. He will show you what to pray exactly for concerning your spouse. He will. And it's very, very vital. Very, very important, brothers and sisters, that when you pray and when you're seeking Yah concerning your spouse, that you wait for him to reveal the things so that you can pray accordingly. And even when you don't know exactly what to pray, pray anyways. Pray hedge of protection around them. Pray that they be delivered from any bondage, any demonic oppression. Pray for them, no matter what. Pray for them first thing in the morning. Pray for them throughout the day. Pray for them before you go to sleep. Again, whether you're in your marriage or you're not yet, whether you know their name yet or not, pray for them. Pray. So that is everything that I wanted to share tonight. I am super exhausted. It was a crazy long day, but I needed to come on and share that. That has just really been very just heavy in my spirit and my heart, and I kept putting it off and putting it aside, and it was time to share that. So there's that. I pray that encourages all of you, because I know there's many of you that's dealing with this right now. So of course, if you have any other questions or anything like that, anything else I can help you with, please email me and I will do my best. Again, I have a series coming up called Boundaries. I'm hoping to get that started next week. If not, it may be put off just a little bit sooner. I may not be on the podcast very much either, because again, something's come up and I do have to go to Texas towards the end of this month for just a little bit, and then I will be returning. And I'm hoping to get everything back, in Yeshua's name, everything back on track, to start up the series, start up, offering counseling again, and just go from there. And, whatever Yah's will is, But again, this month is really just all over the place for me right now. I'm in a really chaotic season. So please bear with me, you all, and I appreciate your support and your prayers. Thank you all so very, very much. But I will close with that. So this will probably be it, unless I can start the series. If I can start the series, then there will probably be an episode or two published probably over the next week or so. If not, then it will definitely be towards the very end of this month or beginning of October. But do be on the lookout for that. I think this series is going to be really great. Please enjoy so far the episodes that have been released for season 7 and anything else that you want to listen to. Again, please email me if I don't get to emails. Again, just know it's because I will be out of state for a little bit towards the end of this month. So I won't be answering emails while I'm out of state or anything like that. So I just want to let everybody know. Please understand that it's not that I'm ignoring you or something's happened. I just won't be available for a little bit because I will be out of state. I'm going to be in Texas. So anyways, with all of that being said, I pray that this word is a source of encouragement. And again, if you need any further help, please do email me and I'll get to it as soon as I can. All right, that's it. Thank you all so much for listening. And I pray you all have a blessed Sabbath tomorrow. I pray it's a restful one and a joyful one with Yah and with your family. But thank you so much for listening, and I will talk with you in my next episode. Shalom.